Here with the Bambu Labs A1 3D printer combo that came with the AMS Lite, I'm going to show you guys how to assemble this machine, and I'm going to give you my in-depth review. This thing, I clearly already assembled it, is amazing, and I can't wait for you guys to see the results. So let's go. This is the Bambu Labs A1 3D printer combo. We're going to open this thing up and give it a try. I've owned 3 3D printers. I started out, well, 4 if you count the Ender, that didn't work at all. But I started out with a Lulzbot Mini, switched to an Ultimaker S5, crazy upgrade, but that technology is a little bit obsolete in my opinion. This printer is some of the newest tech available in regard to 3D printing, and I'm super excited to try it out, so let's open it up. All right, we're gonna open this thing up. Okay, I've got this thing out of the box. That took me a little bit of effort. The box is kind of ruined now. Let's check it out. Okay, so this looks like the AMS Mini. This is a material station where you load up to 4 filaments. These are the spots where the rolls go. We'll check that out in a bit. Obviously, this is gonna be the last part of the setup. I'm pretty sure this is the individual spool holder that can go on top. I'm not entirely sure, but that's what it looks like to me. I don't think we'll be needing this necessarily because we're using the AMS Mini, but we'll check it out later. Okay, this looks like it's the nozzle wiper. This is where it kind of prunes the filament when it's loading a new one in. And we got the power cord right here. Okay, this is the top part of the printer. The print bed goes onto this bottom half right here. I'm gonna put this aside for now while we unbox the rest. Right here, we have the actual parts where the spools go onto the AMS Mini. So these kind of inject into that tube part and the spools go onto here. If you're using Bambu Labs official spools, these will detect what filaments they are. I'm pretty sure using RFID, or NFT, I forget which one it is. And yeah. Right over here, we have a little bag. It looks like there's just some tools in here, some grease, lubricant, and some other extra accessories that we'll look at when we're assembling. And then right here, it's crazy how light this is. You'd expect it to be heavier. I mean, the box itself was heavy. Obviously, there's a lot of contents in there, but the bed itself, I mean, I could pick this up with one hand. I could probably even hold it with 2 fingers. I don't want to drop it, but it's very light, and so is the upper part. The upper part's a little bit heavier, but overall, it's a very light printer. It's made out of a lot of plastic, which I don't know if I like plastic being near a heated nozzle in bed, but obviously these printers are well made. They have great reviews and they're well manufactured, so I'm not expecting anything bad to happen. It's just a little, you know, but it's definitely nice that it's light, and it's probably gonna be much easier to put together than any other assembly required printer. Over here we have the little tubes that the filament goes into. This attaches to the AMS Mini and goes to the printer. Over here, we have what I believe is a stand for the AMS Mini, although I'm not entirely sure. Oh yeah, it is. You can see it says, sorry, it's not called the AMS Mini, it's called the AMS Lite, although, you know, same thing. You can see right here, it says AMS Lite by Bambu Labs. Put this to the side. Over here, we have the bed, the print bed, attached to this little piece of cardboard. I'm gonna take this off, put everything on the side, and then we'll get assembling. There's these little rubber pieces. I'm not sure what they're for. You gotta make sure not to lose these because I'm sure they're important. It kind of was just floating in the bag. You can see it up close here. I didn't really like how it was, you know, floating like that, but yeah. Okay, our unboxing is done. Let's get started with the assembly. I'm gonna take a look at the instructions. I've already watched some videos. Obviously I needed to prepare, but you know, I'm gonna refresh my mind. For the next step, we have to do something a little bit complicated. We have to kind of tilt the printer on its side on the table, kind of like this, in a way that we can attach the bed to the top housing. So I'm gonna look through here. It says to put the printer frame on the table as shown above, and then tilt the base housing about 45 degrees to pass through the printer frame. Use the screen as indicator for orientation. So the screen needs to be faced inward as such. The screen can tilt out, you need to have it tilted in. Awesome. We have this step done. I'm gonna move on to the remove Y-axis cover step. So you wanna push the heat bed fully to the front, as I'm doing now. So the back side, the front is where the nozzle is. So the printer is kind of oriented in a way where a majority of the bed space is in the front. You're gonna push the bed space to that area, move the wire over. We need to remove the Y-axis cover. So the Y-axis cover, I believe, is this thing right here, this little plastic piece that I just unlocked. And I've read that it snaps very easily, so I'm gonna remove it very gently. It is a piece of plastic after all. This is what it looks like. You can see it's a little bit flimsy. I don't want to bend this, so I'm gonna leave it right here. We remove that, and then we are locking the base housing in. So there are 10 ST323 screws in the holes highlighted in green. You can see right here, those are the holes. I'm gonna zoom in for you guys a little bit. These are the holes right here. They actually have a green outline to them, which is kind of nice. I'm gonna look for these screws. They're in these little bags. These screws right here, they're in these little bags. There's a bunch of them. I'm gonna look for the 10 ST323 screws. Okay, screws are all installed. I'm going to move this back, and we have to carefully put this Y-axis cover back in. We want to be careful as to not break it. This time it's going to be a little harder. As I said before, it's pretty delicate from what I've heard. So we're going to push the heat bed fully to the front end, which I just did, next to the screen. I'm going to gently slide the Y-axis cover back into place, and there's a clip right over here that we have to align it with. Okay, so once again, we're gonna have to place this on a bit of a weird orientation on the table. We're gonna have to turn it 90 degrees onto its back side. I'm gonna show you guys exactly what I mean by that. And we want this part on the table, and we want the bed hanging off the side. I'm gonna show you. Just like this, I believe. Be careful not to hit that print bed. It is gonna slide like it just did for me. Okay. Okay, so I have this on its side now. It took me a little bit to get the tripod adjusted for that, but we're all good. So now it says to align the two clips on the cable box, that's old, with the holes on the base housing. Then to slide up the cable box until Type-C cable clicks in place. Do not force the insert, and then make sure the cable box is nice and flush in the slot. Then screw in the pre-installed screw highlighted in green. Okay, so to the start, okay, so the next step is to flip the screen like this, facing you. I would not take off that plastic yet. You don't want any screws or anything ripping it. Okay, then you want to push the tool head to the middle of the rail, because now we're going to be installing the purge wiper, which I showed you earlier. Okay, the purge wiper is this little gray and black tool right here. Pretty straightforward. This is going to slide into the slot right in the back over here, in the back of the tool head. And we're gonna install it just like so. You just slide it in, like I'm doing right over here. Perfect. Okay, so you're gonna put the AMS light to the right of the printer. It has to be to the right of it because that's the orientation they designed the tubing to connect with. Otherwise, you might interfere with the purge wiper, whatever. Just don't mess with it. Put the AMS light to the right of the printer. Okay, so the short tubes go into port 1 and 2. It's labeled right here. You'll see it. I'll show you. 1, 4, and then 1 and 2 and 3 are on the bottom. So the short ones are gonna go into ports 1 and 2. Obviously, they're closer to the printer, so you don't need as much length for them. I'm gonna measure these out, make sure I have the right ones. There's gonna be an extra one with it. I'm pretty sure that's just if you used the onboard material holder. Okay, put the short ones. Okay, this next step is going to be powering on the printer. Before we plug it into the actual power supply, you have to take this cable from the AMS. You're gonna unravel the zip tie, although maybe it could reach with the zip tie, and there's going to be 2 of these little ports on the side of the printer. You can plug it into either one. I'm gonna plug it into the one closest just for simplicity, and it should just snap in. Make sure the pins don't break. It should just snap in like that. Okay, now we're gonna connect the actual power supply. I have it right here. It's this little black cable. I'm going to take this, plug it in right there. So after turning on the power switch in the back of the printer, your screen should start to turn on. The first thing we're gonna do is connect to the network. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And there's this nice little start screen here. I'm gonna go ahead and set up all my network and stuff, and we'll get going. It has that nice little tone, which is kind of nice. Select English. I'm selecting English, North America. And then it's gonna help you connect to Wi-Fi. I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. Okay, once you have the Wi-Fi set up, you're gonna go onto the App Store, whether you're on iOS, Android, this app is on both. You're gonna download this Bambu Handy app right here. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Now, you don't need the app, but it does say that it's helpful, and I don't know why you wouldn't download it if you have a phone available to you, which I'm sure all of you do. You can send prints from your phone, you can send prints from your computer, and you can monitor prints, which is honestly the most important thing, especially if you're out of the house. So I'm gonna go ahead and download that and set up an account. Okay, so once you make your profile, you're gonna go here, you're gonna click Devices on the bottom, and there's gonna be a Bind Printer button. You're gonna press that, and you're gonna scan the QR code, and it should connect your printer. Now we're gonna calibrate our printer. So I'm gonna start, it says motor noise cancellation about 7 minutes, vibration compensation about 5 minutes, and then auto bed leveling should take about 15 minutes. We're gonna do all of those. Obviously, when you get a new printer, you should do those things. So I'm gonna let this go, and we'll be back. So currently the printer's doing a little firmware update. I guess it doesn't come fully updated, which makes sense. I got these filament rolls right here, which in a moment I'm gonna load onto the printer once it's done updating. But I just wanted to show you, these are from Sunlu. I got these from Amazon. I'll link these down below because I think these are pretty good filaments. I've used these before on my Ultimaker, the bigger version, eSun, Sunlu. They're pretty much the same quality. Sunlu's pretty cheap. I'm not gonna get the official Bambu Labs filament. I don't really wanna waste money on that. They're a little bit more expensive. And they don't have as big a selection. So these are pretty good. I have 4 of these. I'm gonna go load these on here now once this is done, and yeah, I'll show you guys. Okay, so we're gonna load our filament onto the AMS. Pretty much you just snap them into here, into one of these things, and then you put the filament into this hole right here, and then you load it in. So I'm gonna start doing that, and yeah, we'll do a little time lapse. Okay, now the filaments are loaded on, and I'm gonna actually load them into the printer using the control panel. I will say, I never had a preference for 1.75 millimeter filament. I always loved 3 millimeter more, and the reason for that is because it's thicker and it's harder to break, you know? This one is a little flimsy, and when you're loading it into the AMS, you have to make sure the end of the filament is perfectly straight, and when you're breaking the filament off, it can be a little bit difficult to do, but that's gonna be with any 1.75 millimeter printer. Honestly, this was the easiest loading I've ever had to do. I haven't finished it yet, but it kind of automatically loads it halfway for you, so I'm very happy with that. I'm gonna show you guys how to load the actual filament into the extruder head. Okay, so right here you can see we have you go to the filament section, I'll show you guys. You go to right here, filament, and you press on the spool that you want to use. So you're gonna press load. Filament type is unknown, but is required to perform this action. Obviously, I'm not using Bambu Labs filament, so I'm gonna have to self-identify it. So we're gonna choose it doesn't even have that option on here. I'm gonna choose generic. I thought it would have Sunlu because Sunlu is available in the slicer, ABS. So we're using PLA+. I do believe though that we can use the regular PLA settings. I'm gonna double check that though. eSun has PLA+. I'm gonna go with eSun settings due to the fact that eSun and Sunlu are very similar. You have to use whatever filament you're using, but this is what I'm gonna go with. PLA+, with eSun is extremely similar to Sunlu's PLA+ 2.0. Dynamic pressure control, you can pretty much ignore that. So in slot 1, I have the color black selected. I'm gonna just make sure, select black. And I'm gonna press OK, and it should auto load. Okay, you can see it's currently spinning the spool and loading the filament into our printer head. I just wanted to mention one more thing. It just did this, but when it's pulling back the old filament, you can see it's obviously not gonna hold multiple filaments at a time. It pulls back the old filament into here, into the tubing, and pulls in the new one. So when you're switching colors between prints constantly, you're gonna have some waste, which might be a downside for some people, but honestly, you're not gonna have that much more waste than if you were to manually switch the filament. This is obviously a great feature, and I don't really see any downsides in this, so yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so the filament loading is complete, all went well. I had a little error actually with one of the tubes. I didn't push it in enough, but it's fine, I fixed it. We're gonna go ahead and print our test benchy now. I'm pretty sure it only takes 22 minutes on this printer, but I'm gonna check that and I'm gonna show you guys. So I'm gonna record this whole thing for you guys and then I'll get back to you once it's done printing. And yeah, we should be good to go. All right, our print is done. Let's pop it off of the bed. It's not too hot. I should be able to just snap it off, honestly, but there is a way to do it like this. You kind of flex it a little bit. Ow, it's kind of hot right now. Maybe I should have waited, but yeah, there we go. And then you can just snap the print bed back on like that, and we have our benchy. I'm gonna go do a look at this and see. You can see there's some stringing. I will tell you, I was watching this print from afar, and the table that it's on, this white table right here that the printer is on right now, is super shaky. It's not a stable table for this, and I'm super impressed with how well it compensated. I mean, this thing printed in 20 minutes. Watching it live was crazy. You guys are gonna see the time lapse either before or after I'm talking right now, but this is awesome. I'm super impressed. Listen, giving my honest opinion, that printer is incredible. This technology is peaking right now. I haven't ever seen something advance so much from the Ultimaker S5 to the Bambu Lab from their release dates ever. I mean, in any sort of technology, with iPhones, with computers, 3D printer technology is currently on the rise, and I don't think it's going to stop. This printer came out in 2023. Bambu Labs has new models. They have a laser cutting printer, actually, that includes both 3D printing and laser cutting technology that I'd love to be able to test out one day. Overall, I enjoyed my use of this printer so far. I'm going to use it probably every day from now on. I got bored with the Ultimaker, and it kind of took me out of the enjoyment of 3D printing. I mean, that thing is old technology. It's not plug and play like the Bambu Labs A1 is. The S5 is old tech, and not only that, but you have to fix a lot of parts. They're expensive parts. That printer is thousands of dollars, whereas this one was, I think, $379, including the combo with the AMS Lite. I'm overall so happy and so impressed with how this came out. The build, it was super simple, and that benchy is incredible. I'd say the only criticism I have is the filament, inserting the filament into the holes. It definitely is difficult to do with thinner filament, which is 1.75 millimeter. It's hard to not bend it when you're inserting it, but once you get the hang of that, it's really just a great machine. The plastic parts are definitely kind of disappointing, although I do understand that they're mass producing these machines, trying to make them for the cheapest price possible. I mean, $379 for a machine like this is incredible, and I'm sure the Ultimaker S5 at the time would have been cheaper if it was not made purely out of a metal frame or whatever material that is. I think it's metal. I get why they use plastic on this, and I get the fact that the plastic isn't going to affect the quality of the print overall, for the most part. due to the fact that the mechanical parts on this machine are incredibly made and they work super well. Even during the calibration, the vibration adjustment that it needed to make with this table, which was vibrating like crazy and moving during the entire print, I noticed during the calibration how well it compensated for that. And just props to Bambu Labs for this printer. Incredible job. I'm super excited to try their other printers in the future when I can. I've definitely made this decision. I've thought it through, and I'm very happy with the results and that I purchased this printer. So I'll leave the link for it below. This isn't a sponsored video, obviously, but you know, I'm super impressed, and I think that everyone should own one of these. This is a great first printer. It's a great expert printer. I would consider myself close to an expert 3D printer at this point. I've been 3D printing since I was 10 years old, I think, and I'm super impressed. So thank you, Bambu Labs, for making this printer. I'll also link the filament I use down in the bio, or the description. Super incredible, great quality. I've used eSun before. I've used Sunlu once, I think, on my old Ender, which barely worked. And I'm using Sunlu now, and their PLA Plus 2.0 is incredible. Great quality on the Benchy. I'm going to go make some other prints now, and I'll make a future video updating. I'll make a video on the dual color setting. I'm going to try a print with that. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say on this, honestly. It's great printer, 9 out of 10, maybe even 10 out of 10. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I know this is a little bit different content than I usually make, but I'm super excited that I got to share this with you guys. Thank you for watching.